few years ago, an Xbox Live Stalker attempted to locate me at my workplace. As a teenager, I worked the second shift at the movie theater near me. My weekend had only just started, and it was Friday night. While eating this chili pizza, I was on Xbox Live playing Overwatch. Just like many of my buddies. While I was kicking my behind a lot harder than usual in this game. It took 3 matches to set me ablaze. I decided to turn up the intensity and enter competitive mode at about 2 in the morning. At King's Row, I was defending against Pharaoh when we got into a match. I was on a roll with 15 kills, but I saw that 2 of them were on the same Bastion player. His username slipped my mind. I receive a party invitation after the match has continued for 1 more minute. The gamer tag was identical to the 6th Bastion I had just defeated. By this point, all of my pals had left the party, so I wasn't even technically part of one. I added him because I thought his thoughts might be intriguing. Typically, I would assume that it is a child a few years my junior babbling some nonsense. Surprisingly though, the other end was an adult man. His heavy Spanish accent and the fact that he didn't sound near to my age in his 30s actually made me even more surprised. This guy starts cursing at me right away. When I received the invitation, I must admit that I was partially anticipating this to take place. Now, I have this attitude where I'll take it out on you if you treat me badly, so I responded with the usual, "Oh you mad bro," and the man completely ignores me. Unlike the majority, this individual proceeds to declare, "Screw you and your entire family." As astonishment quickly faded, "Bro, take your chill pill. No, I want you to." He halted. Our team's ADVA had just murdered Bastion again, and I could see why. Things are about to get scary now. His simultaneous squawking, shrieking, and shouting made him sound like he was about to erupt into a raving madman on the MIC. I wish I could give you a better description of the sound he was producing, but that's as good as it gets. From this individual, inhumane sounds resounded, as if he were simultaneously being gutted and possessed by a monster. Even more terrifying than when it was a 12-year-old was the fact that it was an adult male. The game was over? Even the payload was not moved by the hostile team. Since he was defeated, the man continues to lose ground. Then I made the decision to once again act like a shit and refuse to take this obviously insane man's crap. Look, it's not my fault you suck at the game. You're just being treated like the child that you really are. Grow up, man. The Spanish man found this offensive. He yelled, "Screw you," into the microphone for what seemed like 20 seconds straight. Then it began to crackle. His volume was so high that it damaged his microphone. He then excluded me from the gathering. Following my companion's lead, I figured I'd get some sleep since the contest was done. Okay, that was something, was my overarching reaction to what happened, and I thus logged out, disabled my Xbox, and went to sleep. My stupidity for failing to capture any of it became crystal clear the moment my head down on the pillow. When my pals heard it, they would have snapped. I assumed the irate Spanish guy had finally given up after Saturday passed with nothing. In the morning of the following day, I returned to Xbox in order to play even more Overwatch. Upon reviewing my inbox, I found a message from the man that read, "Good morning, insert my full name. I know you have to go to address of the movie theater I work at tomorrow." "Oh, what the hell," I said loudly. I decided to bring out my phone, take pictures of the screen, and then texted my boss about it and informed her that some man on Xbox had found out where I worked. Now, my boss is a bitter old lady, so she's definitely not gonna care what happened on my Xbox. Even though it concerned my work, she basically waved it off and told me I still had to come in that day. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and The Incredibles 2 are both hot right now, so we were definitely going to be busy. I ended up going in the next day at 5:30. It was quite boring and crowded like I predicted, up until about 8 when a really short guy came in through the door. It was noisy and extremely busy, but the dude hollers my complete name. Same Spanish accent from the Xbox. Oh crap, it was him. I still to this day don't know how he got my details or why he decided to come all the way out to where I worked. The theater became silent. I just walked to the back room where my employer was and told her that the guy from the Xbox was inside. She reiterated the same, "I don't care what happens to you on Xbox. Get back to work, we're busy." I reaffirmed to her that the guy was inside the building. I didn't know if he wanted to hurt me or not, and I was going to contact the cops. I actually ended up calling the cops, and it wasn't until they arrived and spoke to me secretly in the back room that my employer ended up taking me seriously. The Spanish guy was still inside the lobby, and the cops put him in cuffs and led him out. I still haven't heard anything from them, and I still don't know how he acquired my info or why he came all the way to where I worked. I still don't know what he meant to do to me. Either way, I'm still a bit rattled up over it. I don't know if he knows my home location or not, and I'm pretty much on alert 24/7. Either way, I possess 2 dogs who can frighten off anyone, but I'm still extremely terrified by this guy. It's really insane that I pissed off a guy from Xbox and then he chases this teenager and visits him. I hope to never encounter you again. I phoned my police station, and I heard they still taken this guy on Monday. So I have the satisfaction of knowing he didn't get away. They're still being cautious with information and won't even tell me his name due of security considerations. I'm waiting for a full police report on this. They assured that they would give me one soon. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm just gonna try and not focus on this man for now.
The year is 1985, and I was 18 years old back then. My parents, my sister Amani, who was 16 years old, and I resided in a peaceful Calgary suburb. From my vantage point, everything was ideal. David, our neighbor, was the only exception. Being the lead guitarist for a local rock band gave him 22 years of age and a healthy dose of cockiness. My sister could hear him constantly bringing over new women because she lived next door. David would casually be shirtless, doing bicep curls in his front yard, every time Amani and I would stroll home from school. There was always some way he could meet Amani, and she always found a way to greet him back. Because he would maintain his intense gaze on Amani until she came inside the home, I couldn't help but feel awful about it. The vicious and intimidating look in his eyes was unsettling. On this scorching Saturday, our parents were not around. Amani was startled out of her slumber by the whir of her window blinds. David was waiting for Amani in her room when she sprung to her feet and turned on the lights. As a result of her extreme shock, Amani was rendered speechless. Amani was warned by David not to shout, and that he required her to do something. Because Amani thought David was going to attack her, she started to cry. David snatched her face and started to dab her tears. Affirming his desire to marry Amani, he was quite direct. Out of his pocket, he pulled a ring, which he claimed his mother had given him to share with a lucky girl. As Amani clumsily declined, David, who was still holding her, promised that they would flee to Mexico or South America. Without raising her voice, Amani shoved David aside. He became enraged and threatened to murder Amani immediately if she refused again. Due to her overwhelming emotions, Amani passed out. From my sister's bedroom, I could hear a heavy thump. Running inside the room was my first instinct because I sensed something was wrong. David had her in his arms like an inebriated groom, and the pungent odor in the room suggested he had been drinking. After I yelled at David, he was frightened enough to release Amani from his grasp, and she was placed gently on her bed. I quickly contacted the authorities when David leaped out the window. Although David was spared incarceration, he was imposed home arrest and ordered to attend anger management sessions. Not long after that, my family uprooted,